have I truly ever seen anything at all? No, even after all this time, my eyes remain closed. I'm so pathetic. I kept reading all those conversations over and over, and I never noticed what they meant, what her words were trying to tell me in that moment. Sophie only ever wanted me to stop worrying so much about what other people might think or expect of me, what she might have thought of her, what she might have thought or expected of me. Why'd she start talking to me in the first place? Out of pity? Because she realized I spent all my breaks alone? Of course not. You saw me that day, playing guitar, and liked my song. And how basic it was, no matter how many mistakes I made. She heard that and wanted to talk to me about it. Sure, she wanted to make music as well, and she did. But more importantly, she wanted to listen to me making music. And then she wanted us to make music, together. That's why it broke her heart when she realized that I gave up on it. Even more so when she realized that I might never return to it. Should I die in here? The chance of that ever happening will finally reach zero. That's the last thing she would have ever wanted. I guess I'll have to face the truth. What she would have wanted is for me to try and do whatever I possibly can to survive. No, not just survive. She would have wanted me to live. That's precisely what I'm going to do. Oh! I'll have to stop worrying about what might happen to her if I do. Sometimes, that's I realize my thoughts have started to clear up. No more strolling down memory lane. I'm awake. Adrian, can you hear me? A familiar voice. Yeah, sure. As customary at this point, I opened my log before even bothering with anything else. Anything else happen? Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Valerie, can you hear me? Huh? Lynn? Oh, I'm awake. Are you feeling well? Please, take your time. Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. It's just you. Ah, indeed. Well, Adrian is still sleeping in his pod. Oliver, however, has already returned to his team for now. Damn, how long have I been out for? Slightly less than 80 minutes? Well, that makes sense. That was a lot. Did you remember anything that you feel might help us? I'm not sure yet. I still need some time to process all that. I understand, of course. It'd be best to discuss this after Adrian is woken up either way. Yeah, sure. Wonder if he'll see anything useful. It's taken him pretty long for someone who apparently never met Emilia in the first place. I can't disagree with that. He will be waking up soon, however. He better be. You feel ready to stand up? Yeah, sure. Very well. Why don't you head over to the bathroom to dry your clothes? I will take care of Adrian in the meantime. Oh, yeah. Good idea. I'll do that. See you in a bit. All right. Who knows what I might miss otherwise? Are you not feeling well? You can try sitting up now. Yeah. Oh, hello. I sit myself up and finally open my eyes. In front of me, Evelyn has placed herself on top of the empty pod in the corner of the room. She's smiling at me, as she tends to do. A smile that comforts, yet scares me. My head is still spinning from the procedure. Am I simply stunned by her beauty? Yikes, well, as long as I don't say it out loud, it's fine to feel that way, isn't it? Is it? Is she talking to us in the meantime? Okay. So, is something the matter? Oh no, just I'm just a little dizzy. Gracefully dodge that one. I see. Don't worry, that's a normal side effect of the transfer. It should subside soon enough. Alright, thank you. Lynn, was it? Would you prefer to address me that way as well? I'm fine. Just thought that it was kind of cute that Valerie, of all people, would call her that. Would use a nickname. They really ended up getting along well, huh? Are you jealous, perhaps? No. Envious, if anything. I see. Anyway, if I may ask, did the transfer go well? Did you manage to recall anything that you feel might help us? I'm not running away any longer. After all, I've made my choice. Yeah, I did remember some things. I don't think I ever truly forgot about any of it, but seeing all those scenes play out like that, it truly brought me back. I'm happy to hear that. Do you want to talk about any of it? I think so. After spending all this time with simply hiding from the truth, should I approach this? Maybe you were right. When you said that, we should all try to make it out of here to the best of our ability. That there is no point in sacrificing ourselves for the ones important to us. I saw a lot of the time I spent with Sophie. No matter what she told me, for some reason I was never able to believe that she actually liked me. No, kept feeling guilty for wasting her time, whenever she reached out to talk to me. Felt like she was only pitying me. Me, who never managed to accomplish anything meaningful in his life, who probably never would. That's not how she viewed me at all. She wouldn't want me to give up first. She wouldn't want me to give up for her sake. She'd want me to make it out of here. I'm very glad to hear that's the conclusion you have reached. Does that mean this has strengthened your resolve to try and win this game? Yeah, that's right. And that's why there's something else I want to talk about. Someone else. Am I really doing this? Once I say those words, there's no turning back. In the end, this is what I've been avoiding all along. Never once cared about what might happen to Sophie, did I? Just told myself I did. Told myself I was trying to mess this up on purpose for her sake. That she, who deserved it so much more, could make it out of here, reunited with the love of her life. But no. More than any of that, more than anything anyone else might go through, I really only cared about what they might think of me. And truth be told, that hasn't changed. The only thing that has is my determination to end this. After another uncomfortably long pause, I take a deep breath, and it's about Emilia. I also remembered the time I spent with Emilia. I finally spelled it out. I'm sorry for lying to you. I did know her myself. I just never told anyone before, not even Sophie. There's not much of a reaction, no hint of surprise on her face, like she could already tell where this was going. She simply nods. Without condemning any of my prior behavior, she asks, "What was she like?" What a simple question. And yet, one I keep asking myself as well. What was she like? Quiet. Not like me, not as cold and dismissive. She might have been just as scared of what other people would think of her, how they would perceive her, but instead of simply shutting them out and hiding away, she always tried to portray herself as caring and gentle, calming, kind. She barely knew more about holding a conversation than I did at the time, yet she put in so much more effort into letting me know that she wants to talk to me, that she wants to be likable. And she was. A lot of what she had said might not have been her own words. She might have often copied what others had said before her, things she found in the depths of her log. That's why, sometimes, it felt like her expression and tone of voice didn't match her words. Like she was simply acting out the way she thought social interaction was supposed to work. I still believe that she genuinely meant everything she said, that she really did want to express what she felt all the time. She just didn't know how. In a way, you remind me of her. Oh, me? In what way? I don't know. Your tone of voice, your choice of words, your smile. Oh. The longest time, I couldn't remember what her smile looked like. I couldn't remember the way she looked at me. That night, we took those photos, 2 of them, one for me, one for her. The one I picked, the one she kept, was the one she smiled on. All those years later, I only had her expressionless face to look back on. Why did I even keep it? Did she? And now this expression right in front of me, it's the same. Gentle and calming, yet eerie and demanding. And it works. It works just like how it did back then. Right now I tell her anything she wants to hear. I do anything she asks of me. Despite falling silent, Evelyn doesn't interrupt me. She simply sits there, patiently waiting for me to gather my thoughts. One of the nicest things anyone has ever done for me. She also did that. Thank you for listening to me. I think that helped, really. Oh, that's nothing you need to thank me. You need to thank me for. That's what I'm here for, after all. In this room, waiting for me to wake up, is what she means, of course. Unless you're the emotional support Emilia lookalike android meant to support the teams or something. I still have that theory in my back pocket, just in case. But deep down, I've long since come to the conclusion that that's the role she's meant to fulfill as well. That is the reason why Noel trapped her down here with us, to calm us down, to listen to us, to help us remember. I feel sorry for her. She doesn't have anything to do with this. She doesn't deserve getting caught up in this mess. Telling her what she wants to know is the least I can do. So if I may ask, how did you come to know her in the first place? We went to the same university, different majors, but had some overlap in our courses anyway. At some point, she started approaching me. It took a while until it actually worked out, but then we just kept spending time with one another, for a couple of months at least. What happened then? Nothing, really. She got together with Sophie. I decided it was better if we just went our separate ways at that point. Oh, so that was before she met Sophie? Yeah. And judging by what you previously said, Sophie doesn't know about any of this. Asking the real questions, huh? That's right. I never told her, and told Emilia to keep it to herself as well. Everything that happened between us. Didn't want for things to get even more complicated than they already were. Wanted to keep my distance from it all. Who knows whether Sophie would have let me? I see. Now, I'm sorry for prying, but what kind of relationship did the two of you share? Romantic one as well. Did we? I don't think so, no. No, we didn't. I don't think either of us loved the other. I didn't, did I? Guess other people would have described us as friends with benefits or something like that. And never really discussed what we were or weren't. We just were. Until we weren't. I believe I'm starting to understand. Okay, so there is the possibility that the whole Project Logs thing is just after they decide to go their separate ways. Which, understandable. This is why you didn't want to talk about Emilia, isn't it? Why you didn't want Sophie to find out. Yeah. I never had a good reason to take this to the grave. But I just told her right away. It would have been fine. A funny coincidence. Kind of a relief that it's... Final conclusion. Friends with benefits. Break up. Purge the logs. To forget about whatever feelings might have developed during that time. And go back to the status quo of just... At some point, the lie had grown too large to ignore. So they must have still interacted at some point. So even when Sophie first actually bumped into Adrian at university and started asking him about Emilia, it is honestly kind of sad that even when Adrian starts to pull himself out of that day-to-day gray doldrum, when things change, he never really falls back into it and shuts himself off. It's honestly really sad. Hey, maybe this little memory dive was what he needed to pull himself out of it and change for good? But there's always so let's just to review the facts we can draw so far. The romantic interaction is very much we'll continue a bit before we review. Decide to ignore it anyway. Well, I just wanted you to know. I'm very glad you ended up telling me about it. After all the time I wasted, she doesn't seem angry in the slightest. I might be to blame if we end up losing, if she ends up dying, and yet she doesn't condemn me for it. She's acting as if this is the natural conclusion to all this. As if she... The truth is, I already knew. What? What's she talking about? How? Has she been deceiving us as well? Did she know about Emilia all along? Did she... What? While you and Valerie were busy with the transfer, Oliver accompanied me to the living room, where I told him what we have found out in the meantime. One of the things we did was to once again look through the file cabinet we had now managed to open. That's when he found something I had previously missed. A photo. A photo? Our photo, of course. But wait, does that mean... So Oliver saw it as well? Yes. In fact, he took it with him. Oh no! At this point, he has most likely shown it to Emilia herself, hoping it might help her to finally remember you. I see. Remember me. She will remember me, after all. If she does, it might just help us with learning even more once Oliver returns, don't you think? Huh. Yeah. I nod absent-mindedly. If we just wait for a while longer, Oliver might return with clues that could help us with finally solving this. Great, isn't it? No. Once Oliver returns, it's too late. Once Oliver returns, Nathan will also return to his team. Once Oliver returns, Sophie will learn the truth. Without wasting another second, I place my hands on the edges of the pod to lift myself up and step outside. Not like I didn't have a plan when I decided to reveal the truth. I just didn't expect to be this short on time. I need to act fast. Sure, that's great news, but I don't think we should wait for that. I mean, we have no way of knowing how much progress the other team has made at this point, right? So even before Oliver returns, we should do whatever we can to figure this out. I think I might have an idea of how to approach that. Oh, really? That's great to hear. What is it? I've been thinking, the reason why we never really felt like we were making any progress toward finding an answer was probably because we didn't even know what the question was. So I felt like maybe we should have tried to think about that first. What did Noel mean when he asked us to find the truth about Emilia? That's what my idea is about. I think I might know what the question we're supposed to answer is. Really, there's only one thing that comes to mind. One thing that everyone who knew Emilia has been wondering about these past 2 years. What happened to her? Why has she disappeared all of a sudden? Did she just decide to run off somewhere? Was she kidnapped? Something else entirely? And why is she here now? What's the point of this game? The way she described, like, not being able to keep the promise to remember Adrian. Needing the photo wall. Was there something, like, terminally wrong with her, which she was running up to the end of a clock on, and this appearance was, got progressively worse and needed to be, like, disappear? Those are the kinds of questions we should be asking ourselves. It's not like we need to figure out who Emilia is. We already know. What kind of truth is that? That's all. If that was all, the other team would have won within the first round, simply thanks to Sophie not keeping her mouth shut until the very last minute. Instead, I think we should focus on the things we don't know. I feel like all of what I'm saying is entirely obvious, and yet we haven't really talked much about this at all. Instead, we only just revealed how we knew her, what our relationship with her was. I'm not saying that was a waste, not at all. I think if we didn't, we'd never be able to connect the dots. After all, we wouldn't even know the dots in the first place. Do I know them now? Do I have all the hints to solve this? Yeah, that's about it. I see. I think you have a point. Those lingering mysteries might just be what we were supposed to solve this entire time. Do you already have a potential answer in mind as well? Not at all. Just vague ideas. Definitely need to think this through for a bit longer, and well, I guess we should probably discuss this with Valerie anyway. Oh, you are absolutely right. She went to dry her clothes a while ago. We should go and check on whether she is done by now. Drying her clothes, huh? Now that she mentions it, I'm completely drenched as well. Obviously, after soaking in water for over an hour. Yeah, and maybe I should dry mine as well. I suppose so. I will explain your plan to her in the meantime. Simply nod, then let my eyes dart toward the exit. Evelyn nods in turn, we leave this room behind. Once and for all, I hope. We arrive in front of the bathroom. Evelyn knocks on the door. Valerie, are you still in there by any chance? A couple of seconds pass and the door swings open. Yeah, just got done though. Looks over at me. Took you long enough. We had a couple of things to discuss before heading over here. I will tell you about those while Adrian dries his clothes. I see. Fair enough. Want to head to the kitchen then? That was my plan as well, yes. Just come and join us once you've done, all right, Adrian? Should be obvious, but I'm glad she mentions it either way. Yeah, sure. She opens the door and they both turn towards the kitchen. Evelyn will take care of all this for me, right? Tell her about my plan and about the rest as well? I wonder. Something clicks, and without thinking too much about it, I call out, Wait. They are just about to pass through the door, but now they both halt in their tracks to look at me. Sorry, Valerie. Can we talk for a bit? Just... are you sure? I see. We'll wait for you in the kitchen, then. Closes the door, leaving just the two of us in the room. One-on-one conversations with Valerie have always made me uncomfortable, but in truth, I know that her intentions weren't nearly as bad as they seem. It's not like she actually hates me. And so, I owe it to her, telling her the truth. So, what's up? Well, Evelyn would have told you anyway, but there's one thing I should tell you, myself. Oh, yeah? What's that? I know you probably already suspected as much, but I knew Emilia. Myself, not just through what I've heard from Sophie. She nods, something that could almost be described as a smile appearing on her face. Yeah, I figured as much. So, since when did you know? Well, I had a vague idea from the start. Kind of hard to pinpoint the exact moment it happened. Maybe when you mentioned which uni you went to? Or was it when I realized you were friends with Sophie? Thing is, believe it or not, Emilia did mention you. More than what? What? Not directly, not by name. She did say she met some guy at uni and, well, wanted to be friends with him. Maybe more. I should have realized it sooner, really. That she would have talked about all this to someone. That's how people usually deal with these things. Crazy concept. Talking to people, right? Mood. Valerie even said it herself. They talked about all kinds of things, even those they'd never tell anyone in person. Emilia even talked about some guy she met. God, it's like I was trying to ignore it. Well, I'd love to tell you more, really, but I guess we shouldn't waste too much time with it. Just let me say this much. Emilia really liked you. Maybe not as much as you liked her, but she really cared about how you felt. Till the end, she was genuinely worried that she might have hurt you. That you'd remember that, instead of everything else. Oh. Something else till the end, huh? A moment I just stand there, carefully nodding along. Then I just stand there, no longer nodding. Valerie sighs. Whatever. Not like I expected you to say anything. Guess that's just how you are. Emilia really didn't exaggerate when she said you would never talk much, huh? That's fine and all, but just every now and then, try to think how that might make others feel, right? That's all. Turns around and heads toward the kitchen door. See you in a bit. Yeah. And she's gone. She didn't say much, but what she did say was a lot. I'm glad we were able to talk about this, and yet this is not the time to think about this any further. I shake my head as if to discard any lingering worries I might have, and finally enter the bathroom. After locking the door behind me, I quickly take off my clothes and throw them in the dryer at the other end of the room. I start to device its rhythmic sound fills the air. 7 minutes? What a waste of time. Not like I have any right to complain. After all, I still need to figure out what I'm going to tell them. I still need to put my thoughts in proper order. I want to make this happen, don't I? I want to end this game before Sophie learns the truth. Whew. Jesus. And first and foremost, that means one thing. I need to make sure she dies before the end of the current round. Oh. One step forward, step back. As fucked as it sounds, that's the goal I set for myself, isn't it? My dude. My heart beats the shit out of me for even daring to think this way, but I'll need to ignore that and push through. It's not like I wasn't aware of this before. Take a deep breath and try and focus on what I know. Somewhere, somehow, there has to be a way to connect all the hints I gathered. And looking back at everything I've heard today, there's been a whole bunch of weird things that stood out. This place apparently being where some experiment was supposed to take place decades ago. We've been ruined by some guy calling himself Noel, at least according to the online rumors, and now all this seems to use that story as a blueprint. Whether the story is true or not, it's all held together by the most central of characters, Emilia, who's been interested in these rumors for years, whose mother was involved in the original experiment. And then there's this Anamesia cult. Is Noel one of their members? Are they really the ones pulling the strings here? It all connects so neatly. We haven't found a whole lot of hints during our time here, but everything we did find managed to point toward all this being related to our current situation, as if that's the exact conclusion we're supposed to reach. Maybe I was wrong, after all. Maybe Noel didn't want us to figure out why we're here after all. Maybe the true reason for us being here is exactly what he wanted to distract us from. If that's really the case, I guess I'm back to square one. Damn it. What kind of motive could he have had? Why did Emilia disappear in the first place, and why? My eyes land on the mirror in the back of the room. All of a sudden, the scene from earlier today plays out in my mind. Valerie punching the mirror in frustration. Frustration that has likely been festering in her for a long time now. Frustration caused by the knurling she never wanted to have. That she only got implanted because of that accident. And she needed it to control her artificial limbs. If she didn't, would she have tried to get rid of it? Would she really have gone to one of those more than shady sites she mentioned? Those that apparently offer to legally remove them? Why'd she even look into that sort of stuff? When she just knew that there was no way for her to leave without one. Huh. Maybe. Time went by in what feels like an instant. My clothes are done. Still lost in thought, I pulled them out and put them back on. I don't know whether the idea that's occupying my mind will get us anywhere, but it makes too much sense to ignore. Or does it? I shake my head. It's gonna be fine. There's no more time to waste. I need to meet up with the others. And so, I head straight for the kitchen. Where are we at here? I guess so, but then... Ah, there you are. As I walk in, the two of them are sitting at the table, still discussing something. Whether it's about my plan or how else we could proceed, who knows? I could ask, but they'd probably tell me anyways. I've informed Valerie of everything you told me in the pod room. See? There's my answer. Simply nod, then shut the door behind me and take a seat as well. So, Evelyn told me about your idea. And we should figure out why Emilia has disappeared in the first place, what the point of this game even is. Honestly, I should have thought of this way sooner. Guess I was so focused on trying to solve this, I didn't even notice that I had no idea what kind of question I'm trying to answer in the first place. I think it makes sense. Those are definitely questions worth discussing. Fit the whole scenario, too. Scenario? Yeah, the way this entire thing is set up. Sure, the location and the mastermind called himself Noel is obviously just a callback to the game this is based on. Well, at least the urban legend surrounding it. It's also just fitting right in with some classic mystery scenarios, like death games or ontological mysteries. Stories in which a group of people typically wakes up in an unknown location, trying to find a way out, while often forced to compete in a game of life and death. Stuff like that. And, well, unlike conventional murder mysteries, where the whodunit takes center stage, these mysteries instead focus on why the characters were trapped to begin with. Wow. Makes it sound like she doesn't actually care about mysteries at all. Only ever learned some basics to get close to. She made it sound like. Only ever learned some basics to get close to Emilia. That being the case, I didn't expect her to know this much about them. I see. It does seem to align with the predicament we find ourselves in. I have to wonder, however, does that knowledge really help us? Those are just fictional stories, after all. She's got a point. What good does knowing general genre tropes do us? Sure, true. It's a real situation, not something a writer came up with. Right? Well, I want to argue that just because this is actually happening, it doesn't change that someone had to come up with this whole scenario for it. There's no logical reason for the guy behind this to put on this whole edgy mastermind persona and give us these weird, probably pre-written speeches at the end of each round. Unless his motivation for all that was the exact same as the one a writer would have when coming up with this kind of story to hint at our goal. When a story starts with the discovery of a corpse, you'll expect that it's a murder mystery and you gotta figure out who did it, maybe even how. Well, when a story starts with a bunch of people trapped in an underground facility forced to play some kind of game, you have to figure out why. Exactly. So yeah, all I meant to say was, you're right. That's probably what our goal is. That's probably his entire reason for picking this kind of elaborate scenario in the first place. At least I can't think of anything else. Well, I can. As well as it does fit, I get the feeling that she fell for the exact thing Noel wanted us to think. Can't blame her, though. It was my idea that got her to this conclusion. Anyway, so while I was in the bathroom, did the two of you manage to come up with any theories? We did not have a lot of time to discuss our ideas, but I do think we did have some that might be worth sharing. Wouldn't you agree, Valerie? She clears her throat. Sure, yeah. Right. Guess I'll just, well, try to explain what we came up with. Pretty bare bones, but maybe it'll help anyway. I'll just say it how it is. Crud. After thinking about it a bit more, I'm pretty much convinced that the collective of Anamesia is behind this. Sure, apart from their symbol appearing over the other hall, we didn't really find any hints that would connect them to this. But there are more than enough details that point toward them. First of all, the location. According to their stories, their leader has a strong connection to this place. So really, their symbol showing up here isn't much of a surprise, more for confirmation. Wait, what do you mean? What kind of connection are you talking about? Oh, are you ever paying attention? I brought it up twice already. Their leader claims to have survived the original Truth game back in 2071. I was convinced of that being a lie. Fancy backstory he made up to appear like some sort of chosen survivor. I didn't think it had anything to do with us. Realistically, even their symbol appearing here could have been some sort of red herring. Something to distract us from whoever is actually behind all this. What convinced me of their involvement is that Emilia knew. Emilia knew she would disappear. Yes, you did. You mentioned that when telling us about your last chat. Right before disappearing, she told you that she would be online for the time being. And that's also why she wanted to invite Adrian over and... Well... The escalation of the relationship with Adrian was one because she was having the feelings anyway. And two, mainly that conversation she was having with Adrian. That conversation also reeked of, my time is limited, I might be going somewhere down the line. Reeks of that. Reeks of that she knew she had a time limit, and she was really feeling it that particular night. One thing led to another, and whether it was the relationship ending that Adrian was regretting and Emilia was regretting hurting him, or something else, or the encounter itself that Adrian had purged and Emilia was regretting, unknown? Unclear? We don't really have that answer. We might not get that answer, so I will stop speculating. That might have been nothing more than a coincidence. That might have been nothing more than a coincidence. Sure, everything that ever happened could have been a coincidence, but it fits so well. He's been looking into this cult and their connection to what happened in 71 for years. Well, because her mother was involved in all that as well, somehow. Might just be that she got caught up in something dangerous. Maybe she found out about something she shouldn't have, and that's when they abducted her. She hesitates for a bit, then leans back in her chair, admitting defeat. I don't know, that's all I got. No idea why they would have gotten all of us involved years after kidnapping her. Knowledge I didn't have much time to think this through. I see. That's roughly what I originally had in mind, the kind of truth I felt we might be looking for. But now, just in the bathroom, I reached a different conclusion. A much more optimistic one, at least in a way. Can't say for sure that Valerie is wrong. Doesn't mean I shouldn't bring up my own theory, despite, or maybe because, it completely contradicts everything she just said. To be honest, I got a different idea. Well, that might also explain why we're supposed to play this game at all. That's so? Don't be shy, go on. Ellen simply nods, smiling at me. Telling me it's going to be fine. I can do this. I can, and I will. I might not be certain that my theory is correct, but compared to anything else I said today, this is what I'm the most confident about. This is something worth sharing. Alright. So our goal is to reveal the truth about Emilia. But why? Well, Valerie, you said it earlier. Maybe because Noel doesn't actually know what the truth is himself. This whole thing might be nothing but a way to gather info on her for some reason. If that's all there is to it, wouldn't this entire intricate setup really be necessary? Wouldn't it be better to just tie us up and put a gun to our heads? Seems quite a bit more efficient to me. And why are the rules so vague? Why isn't he asking specific questions about the thing he wants to hear from us? He clearly expects one of us to know whatever he's looking for, so... I don't know. It's all just weird and unnecessarily convoluted, no matter which way you put it. Don't you think so? Yeah, I mean, sure, you're right. But so what's your point? That's just what we've been wondering about this. That's just what we've been wondering about this entire time, isn't it? I considered someone else who might want to know about this truth. Someone who knew it at some point, but not anymore. Do you mean Emilia herself? I simply nod. They don't look entirely convinced just yet, but I think they see where I'm going with this. For the longest time, I thought that Noel made Emilia lose her memory, just like he did with us, just on a larger scale. He abducted her 2 years ago, performing all kinds of sick experiments on her. However, he couldn't have used the same method as he did for us. what Evelyn told us, that the neurological override should only be used for a couple of days at most, right? Yes, that's correct. So what if nobody ever wanted her to forget anything? What if there's some entirely unrelated reason for a memory loss? Like what? For this one, I've been putting pieces together before even gathering them in the first place. But my assumptions weren't too far off. Valerie, you got into all those topics surrounding the truth game, the nil virus, and even that Anamesia cult because of Emilia, right? I mean, yeah? There's something else you brought up. About ways to illegally get rid of a Neuralink. What? Something like that is... I see. I get what you're trying to ask, and you're right. Emilia's the one who brought that up. Talked about how deeply we both wish to live without that thing in our heads, so that sounded like a dream come true. Huh. I'm really curious that Emilia wanted rid of it, but Emilia also relied on it to really bolster her social game. To bolster her social confidence of sorts. Well, it was nice to at least fantasize about it, alright? No, sure, of course, I get it. Emilia mentioned something similar, but how she had always wondered what living without a Neuralink would be like. That is true. Actually trying to get rid of it, though? She never brought anything like that up. Well, might just not have known that was an option at the time. Oh. Be spending time with Sophie. Lived her entire life without one, further fueled her desire to do the same. Might be why she ended up looking into it. I don't know. Something about that order of events doesn't seem to quite add up. What is this feeling? What am I forgetting about? Whatever, it can't be that important. Huh. You also mentioned that it was considered pretty risky, that it could lead to brain damage as you described it. Well, of course. If it was a feasible option, it would already be offered as an official service. I'm not so sure about that one. I can totally see the corp's line about it being impossible in order to keep as many people as possible tied to their system. Either way, let's go with that for now. Makes sense, of course. The question is, what kind of damages? Removing a Neuralink, a device directly tied to a person's brain, perhaps lead to memory loss. When I put it like that, it just seems so obvious. It really does, shit. Like something I should have considered this entire time. I just hope I'm right. I mean, research on this topic is still being carried out, but yes, that is a possibility. Holy shit. So you think she actually went through with it? But also explain why she told you that she'd be gone for a while. Not because she feared getting too involved with that cult, but because she had already planned the procedure at the time. Yeah, I guess so. I see. So that is the conclusion you have reached. That certainly seems to add up. Is that what you would consider the truth? What you think we were supposed to find out? No, not at all. Honestly, if I'm right, I gotta admit my original idea might have been completely off. I don't really think Noel wanted us to find out about this at all, about why we're here. Sorry for wasting your time, Valerie. What I think is that there is no truth. No specific thing we're supposed to find out. I think the entire point of this game might be to talk about Emilia. About how we knew her, about her life, to help her remember, to remind her of everything she has forgotten. That's why the rules were so vague. We weren't supposed to talk about anything in particular, and our specific choice of topics wasn't supposed to be influenced in any way. Noel wanted us to talk about whatever we thought of as most relevant, most memorable, the things she should remember the most. Is that why he deleted our logs as well? So he wouldn't simply look up what seemed like relevant hints and instead naturally discussed whatever came to mind? Was trying to solve this game like some sort of mystery story my biggest mistake from the start? I admit I like that idea. However, if what you say is true, what about the documents we found, or the cult symbol in the other hall? Some kind of connection to the cult and its original experiment can't be denied, can it? Oh, I absolutely think it can. Valerie hinted at it herself. It could be nothing but red herrings. Deliberately planted clues to distract us from figuring out the real goal behind this game. The ninth line ate the sun. If all those things really were connected, why would Noel leave those very obvious hints for us to find? To me, it almost seems like he wanted us to come to the conclusion Valerie has reached. Maybe Noel was hoping we'd give up on trying to understand what some weird cult was up to. Instead of even bothering to question our task, we just focus on completing it. Though it seems like it had the exact opposite effect on us. Or on me, at least. He didn't want us to realize that the entire point of the game was something as seemingly innocent as helping Emilia regain her memories. But if... that's really all there is to it, then why would Noel care so much? Has it messed up your brain? Just kind of the risk that comes with that whole procedure? Do they just abandon her as is, or dispose of her altogether? That's right. Putting this much effort into helping her regain her memories. Does that really seem like something criminals offering an illegal service like that would bother with? Yeah, I've been kind of wondering the same thing, unless Noel's her dad. I mean, you could probably argue that they'd still want to build up a trustworthy reputation and all that, but still, this just seems excessive. If you suffer side effects, we will put you in our facility and kidnap your friends and make them remember you. This is our memory restoration service here at Anamesia Inc. They can afford going through with an operation this scale. Wouldn't they have ways to simply sweep the whole thing under the rug, especially after more than 2 years? Right. No, really, I don't know. There might be some kind of reason. Reasons why they couldn't just make her disappear. Maybe her father was onto them. He's pretty influential, isn't he? You got a hold of the people behind that. You could probably pull some strings to hunt them down. So you think he threatened them? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Come on, don't give up now. If you're so close to figuring this out, don't let the questions spell the end of your theory. There'll be some kind of clue you're missing. I mean, would it add up with how we got here in the first place? None of us remember, but we all gathered up at the Neuralink Center he worked at, right? Nathan, Evelyn, and her sister were there for work. Oliver to get his Neuralink, but what about the rest? I mean, I still don't know who the fuck Eric is supposed to be, but... I guess that's why the Avery... friend who got her into photography. I guess that's why Avery stood out to me when we were going through those memories. We don't know an Eric. Sophie and I apparently went there to meet up with her father for the first time, after never getting any proper replies from him before. Couldn't it be the same for you? Maybe he contacted you. I guess so. So you think he's involved in all this? Probably, at least to some capacity. Hold on. Are you trying to imply that Professor Neiman would, in order to help his daughter regain her lost memory, assist in kidnapping and potentially killing multiple people close to her? You might want to reconsider such serious accusations. If it really is Professor Neiman as Noel, then maybe the whole killing threat is a lie. This is the first time I've seen her this agitated. I guess I had a nerve with that one. He is quite an important figure in her field of research, after all. And she's right. Lily's father being involved in something like that seems pretty absurd. Even if it's for her sake. But who knows whether that's really what's going on here? Well, I mean, has anyone died yet? I'd hope not. However, Noel said... just because he said one team has to die, that doesn't make it true. Maybe it's just supposed to make the situation feel more urgent, to make us focus on the task. Although we still managed to waste quite a lot of time so far. And based on the amount of time we wasted, maybe that's what brought it on, so to speak. Maybe that's what prompted it specifically. You think we might have never been in any real danger then? Because I can't prove we were. Evelyn still looks mighty unhappy though. Although that might be true, that would still mean he cooperated with kidnapping a group of people and imprisoning them in this underground facility, some of which are completely uninvolved. My sister and I specifically. My sister and I have never even met the professor. Oliver was nothing more than a customer with unlucky timing. Oliver is gonna get his Neuralink comped and then some. Even if Noel wasn't planning to kill any of us, this would be a serious crime to commit for such selfish reasons. I mean, I can't deny what she's saying. It's true. Even just being here with bringing us here against our wills is rather extreme. God, I was so close to solving this. I was so sure that everything lines up. Come on, there's to be some kind of explanation that makes sense. I can't just give up now. Maybe we weren't brought here against our will at all. Maybe her father explained the entire situation to us and we agreed to help. And just part of the help involved getting our memories wiped. It also might be why our memories were erased. so that we wouldn't know about the purpose of the game for the start. That works, right? That makes sense, doesn't it? Nah, that can't be it either. Huh? What is she saying? What am I missing? That completely contradicts with what Oliver told us and what Sophie apparently said. You know, because their memories weren't erased and all that. They would still remember volunteering to participate. Well then, maybe they're just in on it. Maybe they're just playing along with... Adrian, I think it might be time to give up on that idea. To begin with, if the motive you proposed was indeed correct, this elaborate setup doesn't make sense, does it? Noel was simply trying to let Emilia regain her memories, then wouldn't it be much more efficient if she was allowed to talk to the people close to herself? True. I go about this in such a roundabout manner. Why have Nathan and Oliver deliver messages back and forth between different halls? Why set this up as a game of life and death? Why? I get it. You're right. I hang my head, dejected. She's right. It all fits in a way that forms a satisfying narrative, yet none of it makes sense in the context of the actual situation we find ourselves in. So much time spent wondering what might have happened to Emilia, what might have happened in the past. I barely kept the present in mind. This was nothing but a waste of time. Hey. Valerie speaks up, so seemingly struggling to find the right words. I still think it's a good theory, alright? Sure, some details are a little wonky, but overall, I think it works. I can't deny that either. Valerie speaking out Valerie being supportive? Heck yeah. I still think we should try to think of other possibilities. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you know what Noel said. Once we found the truth, this game should end immediately. Until that happens, until we're told this is over, we should still try to find it. The core of your idea is right. We aren't in any real danger anyways. So really, there's no point to it. At least it doesn't hurt to keep trying, right? Nothing else, it's a nice piece of hope to cling on to. Maybe no one will have to die. Evelyn will get to see her sister again, and you'll meet back up with Sophie. I'll see Sophie again. That's not what I wanted at all, is it? Is it? Valerie places her hands on the table, raising herself in her chair. Well, that being said, I guess I'll go check those documents again. I don't think I got anything better to do until Oliver returns. With that, she heads off to the living room. Evelyn and I remain, quietly looking away from one another, until she speaks up. I apologize if my reaction to your explanation seemed rather harsh. In truth, I agree with Valerie. It would be splendid if you were right. I just don't want us to give up on thinking now. Just accept this theory as correct, despite apparent inconsistencies. I also don't want to be too hopeful that all of this will find a peaceful resolution. That I can truly meet my sister again. The stronger my belief in that happening, the worse will I suffer when it doesn't. I simply nod in silence. She's right. I'm so determined to find a solution, so determined to find a way to end this game as soon as possible. So determined to make sure Sophie would never learn the truth. So determined for Sophie to die. Jesus. Yet the answer I reached was one where Sophie wouldn't have to die. I've been lying to myself the entire time. This theory was never meant to save us. Its only purpose was to save me from the fear of losing the only person I could ever call a friend. I don't deserve someone like her. Even in the face of death, I was too weak-willed to truly commit to sacrificing anyone for my survival. A clueless child, I cling onto some baseless belief that everything will turn out just fine. The problem I have will resolve itself eventually, but it won't. I will die in here. I will never see her again. She will find out that I lied to her, and I won't ever get a chance to explain why. Not that I could. I'll never play another song, and she will never get to hear it. Though she'd want me to break that promise anyway, right? In that case... Evelyn has been sitting there, patiently waiting for me to think things through and calm down. I raise my eyes to look at hers. So, what do you want to do now? I wonder. I suppose Oliver will return soon either way. Perhaps he has learned something new that might help us. Might be okay to take a bit of a break until then. Might be, huh? How about you? Did you have something in mind? Do you want to take another look at the documents with Valerie? Nah. I doubt there's much I can figure out with this little time left, so... There's something else I want to do. Something else I still need to do. Got up from my chair, Evelyn following my lead. I see. Do you plan to enter the living room as well? I nod. Valerie sits at the desk, arms crossed, hands empty. Well, guess the jig is up. I don't really feel like doing any thinking right now. Just don't really know what to do anymore. I see. Don't worry, we didn't make any further progress either. That's fair. It seems we'll have to hope that Oliver returns with some new hints for us. I guess. So, Adrian, you had a reason for coming here, isn't that right? I mean, I guess. You're making it sound like it's something that could actually help us. Maybe I'm the one who makes it sound more important than it really is. Guess I'll just have to keep pretending it is. So, what's that? I just thought. Been wondering for a while, why is there a guitar in this room? Everything else here is just standard furniture you'd find anywhere. A desk, a sofa, beds, a table with chairs, but an acoustic guitar? You are certainly right. That does seem rather specific. Especially with how rare physical instruments are these days. Alright, so what? Yeah, so what? Thing is, I used to play guitar. That's almost an overstatement. I tried to get into it for a while before just dropping it again. Never knew much about it. Never saw it. I thought it was nothing more than a coincidence. I wouldn't even know about any of that, right? Probably doesn't even know who I am. That's what I thought. Now, knowing how much this entire game seems to intertwine with our past, I doubt it is. No, I'm sure that everything here is still back. Everything here is still from back in 71. This isn't. I move closer and closer. I reach out for its neck, grabbing it, much like Valerie once did with mine. Hell of a memory. Holding it like I used to, I turn back and round to face the others. They don't say anything and I can't read their expressions at all. What are they thinking? So if the two of you don't have any better ideas, mind if I play something? Maybe that'll help us. Somehow. Somehow, huh? Huh. If you say so. I already told you I'm taking a bit of a break, so just do whatever you want. He smirks in a way that tells me she saw right through me, once again. She knows I'm just saying whatever comes to mind. I really only have one reason for wanting to play the guitar right now. I don't know whether I'll ever get another chance to. Give Evelyn, who simply remains quiet, a quick glance, to which she replies with her usual combination of smile and nod. And so I sit down, guitar in my hand, placed firmly on my lap. I've been particularly good at this, and now that years have passed since I last touched a fretboard, I doubt I've gotten any better. I'd check whether the guitar is out of tune, but to be honest, it's not. If it is, there's not much I can do about that, not by ear. Then I let my fingers dance across the strings for a bit, trying to recall patterns to place them in. Which chords can I still play, really? Do I still remember the songs I wrote? God, why did I decide to do this again? In front of two people I barely even know. No, it's exactly because these two are here. Because I need someone to hear this. And when he does, then I may as well never play it. No, I may as well never think of making music. If it isn't perfect, if it isn't entirely unique, and if it's utterly basic, it's still me. Take a deep breath. My hands awkwardly placed on top of the strings, they begin to move. Music, or something resembling it, starts to fill the room. Oh, I actually did the song. Wish you could have heard this, Sophie. Even if you never will, I'm still glad I did this. After a brief moment of silence, Valerie is, surprisingly enough, the first to speak up. That sucked! Look, I don't know how you'll feel about me saying this, if it means anything at all, but should we make it out of here alive, I'm sure Emilia would be happy to hear this, to hear you playing the guitar. Did she bring that up too? Yeah. I see. Yeah, because they did talk about Haven't dropped the habit in school. After that, silence returns. Evelyn remains perfectly still, with an absent-minded expression on her face, her eyes pointing toward nowhere in particular. Are you okay? That's what I wanted to ask. Evelyn? Hey, you alright? She blinks a couple of times, as if she had just awoken from a daydream. Then her lips part to reveal words that I could never have predicted. I feel like something terrible has just happened. Wow, come on, isn't that a bit harsh? He wasn't that bad. I don't think she's talking about the music. I wish she was. Over the opposing team, I mean. I apologize. Huh? What do you... Valerie is cut off by a voice that we did expect to return eventually, but with words quite different from last time. Words that should have made me jump with joy. Right now, leave me with nothing more than utter confusion. The truth game has now concluded. Oh no. Oh no. The winner is answer Team A. The doors to the exit have been unlocked. Please make sure to gather all your belongings and prepare to depart at your earliest convenience.